أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome. Jazakumullah to everybody who's arrived on time. Let's have a student on the mic to do the dua, please. Okay.
A1158.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. A1158.
I'll call him. He's just here. Mind assalamu alaikum kare. Aapki baat
Assalamu alaikum.
pakde.
Wa alaikum salam, darling. How are you? Okay, alhamdulillah. If you could just move closer to the mic so we can hear you and we can read this opening dua. Would you be able to read this by yourself or shall I lead you? Don't forget the tawud beforehand, yeah, the tasmiyah.
Rabbi
Okay, so you have...
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi allimni ma khairun indaka.
Excellent, mashallah, well done. And the English translation, please.
O my Lord, teach me what is best for me in your knowledge.
Excellent, well done. And the reference here.
Taskra.
Excellent, well done. Okay, so today we're going to do another dua as well. We're going to be reciting from the Gramjit, and I particularly like this dua. So I will lead this one, and if everybody could follow, okay? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim.
A'udhu billahi
Bismillahir rahmanir rahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Rabbi shrah li sadri. Shiha, are you there?
Kare. Rabbi shrah.
Yes. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri.
Excellent, mashallah, well done. And then the translation.
Lord, expand my mind and make my task easier for me.
Toha.
Excellent, mashallah, well done. And then the reference.
Toha 26.
And the number.
627.
26 and 27. Okay then. Jazakumullah sweetheart. Maybe we'll call you to the mic again shortly. Okay, Allah Hafiz for now.
Jazakallah.
Okay.
The microwave made of sound.
Jazakumullah sweetheart. Okay, so today we're on Thursday, the fourth lesson of the week, and we're in week 9. So we're coming towards the end of our teaching. And today we're going to do a new lesson, and it's quite an important lesson. And I just want to bring to your attention that during the course, teachers have been asking for parents or other adults to sit with their children. And this is because the adults, because they know how to read, they can go over the lesson that has been taught with their children and ensure that the children understand what has been taught that day. And they can help their children in their practice because parents tend to know their children the best. Now, today's lesson is quite important, and we're actually having a presentation to introduce it. And we want that parents or other adults sit with their children today especially. So if you're a student and you're sitting on your own, please tell your parents to come and sit down with you now. And if they really can't, at least ask them to watch the recording of the lesson later on. Okay, so Jazakumullah for doing that. And whilst we wait for everybody to get themselves organized, let me start the presentation. Okay, so as I said a few moments ago, we're coming to the end of week 9 and we've done most of our teaching. Inshallah, next week we will be moving on to reading the Holy Quran itself. But to do that properly, we need to teach one more very important lesson in which you will learn about the rules of waqf. Waqf means to stop or to pause. So today's lesson is going to be all about the rules of pausing. Okay, so now this course has been teaching you how to recite the Quran. And so far, you've been taught how to recognize letters, how to pronounce them, bearing in mind that some of them have thick and heavy sounds and others are thinner. You've been introduced to the strokes such as fatha and kasra and inverted dhamma. Tanween. You've also been taught how letters join using sukoon and tashdid. You know about gunna, when mim mushaddad and noon mushaddad appear in a word. You've been taught about madda, normal madda, as well as maddaleen, as well as other topics as well. And the most recent one that you've done earlier this week was assimilation, idgham. Okay, so you've been taught all of these things, and all of these things are very important. Without knowing this, you won't be able to read at all. So it's necessary for you to know. But this isn't the whole picture. Correct recitation is a two-part process. The first part is the precise articulation of Quranic letters, which is a very formal way of saying basically all the things that we've taught you so far. How to recognize the letters, to pronounce them, all the strokes, and that sort of thing. The other part is the recognition of pauses, which means basically to know where and how to stop and start during a recitation. There are rules about how you can stop and start a recitation. They're known as the rules of waqf or the rules of pause. Now in lesson 21, we will be learning about those rules, and we'll be doing 21 inshallah in a short while. And we will learn about those rules and how we should make a pause at the end or in a portion of a verse. Now, I've just mentioned a word, verse, and I want to show you what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at a page from the Holy Quran and see what verses actually look like. Here is a verse. It starts with the Sad and it ends with the Noon. It's a short verse. Here's another much longer verse. It starts with the Ya and ends here at the Ra. Notice these small letters known as marks of pause. These are signs that appear within a verse, and they're known as marks of pause, and they indicate whether it's okay to stop at that point or not. Lastly, notice this square box. It indicates the verse has ended. And in this particular Quran Majid, a square box is the symbol that has been used to indicate that the verse has ended. In other Quran Majids, you will see possibly circles. Sometimes they're very beautiful shapes with some calligraphy around them. It varies from Quran Majid to Quran Majid. Okay, so that is what verses look like. Now that we've seen what verses look like, let's find out what exactly a verse is. In the Holy Quran, there are 6,348 verses. In Arabic, verses are called ayah. If you have one verse, it's an ayah. If you have many verses, you say ayat. Now, the Holy Quran is written in Quranic Arabic, and like all languages, Quranic Arabic is made up of letters which join together to make words, which join together to make sentences, which in turn join together to make paragraphs. Verses are a bit like paragraphs. Now, you will surely have listened to people reciting the Holy Quran, and you will have noticed that people try to recite with a melody. A melody is a type of tune. They try to beautify with their voice, their recitation. Now, when you recite melodiously, this uses up your breath. And when we run out of breath, we need to stop reciting, take a pause, take a fresh breath, and then restart reciting. Now, as you've just seen, some verses are short, and they can be read by most people in one breath. But other verses are longer, and they cannot be read by everyone in one breath. Others are even longer. So when you're reciting, there's going to be times when you are going to have to pause and restart in the recitation. Now, it's perfectly okay to pause and take a breath, but you have to be careful where you stop. You can stop within a verse at a proper pause mark, similar to the ones that I showed you. You can stop elsewhere too. You just have to be careful that wherever you stop, that the meaning of what you're reading doesn't change. Always stop at the end of a verse. Where in that particular grammar G there was a square box, always stop at the end of a verse. It is sunnah to stop at the end of verses. Sunnah means the way of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, always used to stop at the end of verses, and that's why it's recommended when you're reciting to stop. But it isn't prohibited to continue. If you need to, you can continue. It just is better to stop. Now, when you stop and take a pause, you have to remember that there are rules of pause. Sometimes you will read what you stop at exactly as it's written. But other times, the letter that you're reading changes, or the stroke changes. The timing may also change. The way you pause depends on the end letter of the word that you stopped at. Now, all of those explanations are all very fine, but we're going to go and have an example so you can see properly what I'm talking about. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a verse from chapter 2, and it's verse 45. And I'm going to recite that verse, inshallah, in one breath, no pauses. And I want you to listen quite carefully and note what I'm doing. And then afterwards, I'm going to reread the same verse, but I'm going to take pauses. And I'm going to show you what the difference is, inshallah. Okay, so here is the verse, okay? And I'm going to recite this, inshallah, in one breath, inshallah, no pauses. And I want you to pay particular attention to the letters that I've highlighted, okay? And notice how I recite. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أتأمرون الناس بالبر Let me start that again. أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم وأنتم تتلون الكتاب أفلا تعقلون. Now I don't know if you noticed, I tried to put the arrows and the boxes up as I reached those letters. When I was reading, I read the Ra and I read the Kasra that was underneath it. When I reached the Mim Sakin, I noted it was a mim sakin, and I read it just as it's written. The ba with the fatha, I used that as well, and I pronounced that as it's meant to be. At the end, the noon with the fatha, I paused there, and I didn't read it as a noon with the fatha. I read it as a noon sakin. Now, I did that because that's one of the rules of waqf. When I stop on a letter that carries a fatha, it will change to a sukoon, and I will have to read it as a sakin letter. And we will talk about those rules in a short while. Now, I'm going to reread this verse, and I'm going to take pauses, and I want you to notice how differently I read this time. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم وأنتم تتلون الكتاب أفلا تعقلون. Now, did you notice this time that the ra, I didn't read it as a ra with the kasra. I read it as a sakin ra, and I also pressed down on it as if it was a mushaddad ra. I paused there. When I reached the mim sakin, I read the mim sakin exactly as it's written. When I reached the ba with the fatha, I read that as a sakin ba. I didn't read the fatha that's written on the top. When I reached the noon at the end, I read that as a noon sakin. Now, the reason I didn't use all of the symbols on those letters is because I paused. When you pause in recitation, rules come into play, and you have to alter your recitation according to the letter and the stroke and the symbol that's on top. Okay, so hopefully that's given you an idea as to what this lesson is going to be about. Let's just have a quick recap of what we've just talked about. In this presentation, you've been shown that correct recitation is not just being able to read the letters and the strokes, it's all about pausing appropriately. You've been shown what a verse is and have been introduced to pause marks and verse stops. Verses come in various lengths. You can stop within a verse at appropriate pause marks. You can stop elsewhere so long as the meaning doesn't change because of the way you've stopped. You should stop at the end of verses, although you don't have to. I gave an example recitation both continuously and with pauses to illustrate how waqf rules are applied. You've been told that there are rules of pause which depend on the letter, the stroke, and the symbol that is carried by the end letter of the word that's stopped at. So, hopefully, I've put a bit of context about the lesson I'm going to be teaching in a short while. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to lesson 21 and learn some of the rules of pause. And then we're going to practice them with examples from the Quran Majid. Okay. So, let me just close this. So, here we are at lesson 21, rules of waqf. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the first three rules, okay? Now I'm just going to remind you again that waqf means to pause, to stop or pause. During the recitation, pausing at the end of a meaningful sentence or a verse with the break of breath is called waqf. The correct way of pausing at various types of Quranic words is explained below. Now, if I may have a student on the mic.
Yeah, The first student is A1141.
A1141, Assalamu alaikum.
Can't unmute him. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, he should be on the mic now.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, darling. How are you?
Good.
Alhamdulillah. So, did you understand anything within that presentation just now?
Yes.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. You can always come back to the recording and watch it again. There was a fair amount of information in there. Okay, but Alhamdulillah, you've understood. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to learn about this first rule here. And the rule is that when you step on a letter that carries a fatha, that fatha will change into a sukoon. Here, we have a word made up of 3 letters, dal, lam, and gaf. When we're reading this word, we have to pay attention to all the strokes on there. Now, sweetheart, read for me how you would read this if you were to see this.
Zalika.
Excellent, mashallah, well done. Timing was good, pronunciation was good. Now, if you were going to pause on the gaf, okay, the rule is that the fatha will change into a sukoon. So tell me, how would you read if you were going to make a pause? It's here.
Zalika.
Okay, on the top is a sukoon, sweetheart, yeah? Have another go. Okay, not to worry, let me help you, yeah? Zalik.
Zalik.
Excellent, well done. Okay, let's move on to the second rule, which says that the kasra on a letter will change into sukoon if you're going to read it. So here we've got the word, which is made up of 3 letters, ya, dal, and mim. How would you read that if you were to see it just like this?
Yaumi.
Excellent, well done, mashallah. If you were going to do work from the mim, okay, the rule says the kasra will change to a sukoon, so it will look like this. It won't physically change in the Quran Majid, but that's how you should imagine it is. So tell me how you would read this.
Yaum.
Excellent, well done. Here we have the third part of this rule. A dhamma will change into a sukoon when you pause. So if you had this word here and it ended like this, how would you read this if you paused first of all?
Na'budu.
Excellent, well done. If you're going to do a pause, okay, on the dal, it says that the dhamma will change into the sukoon, and it's been written for you here. So how would you read this?
Na'budu.
Excellent, mashallah, well done. And you had a go at making the kalkala on the dal as well. Very, very nice. Okay, jazakumullah, sweetheart. Okay, now we've just done those 3 rules, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go into practicing those 3 rules. Rules 1, 2, and 3. If I could, okay, just bear with me for a second. Okay, we're going to practice rules 1, 2, and 3. The fatha, the kasra, and the dhamma all change into a sukoon when you pause on them. And we're going to go and have a go at reading this. So if I could have a student to have a go.
Yeah, the next student is A1152.
A1152, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, darling. How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I am also good. Okay, sweetheart. So we are going to have a go at reading from here up to here, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to make a pause right here at the end with the ra and the fatha. And I want you to read from here, and apply the rule, okay? You remember what the rule is?
Yes.
Okay. And the rule is, if you just remind everybody.
So you end where the box is?
Yes, yes. At the end of a verse, it's always the best thing to stop. But the rule is that if you stop and the letter has a fatha on it, that fatha will change into a sukoon. So when you read from here and you reach here, remember that you're going to make a pause. So this fatha is going to be treated as a sukoon, okay? So have a go. There's nothing here that you can't read, okay? Dawood first, darling.
Inna ataynaka al-kawsar.
Excellent, well done, beautiful, mashallah. Okay, always do the Dawood before you start reciting, okay? This is the Quran Majid, okay? So we should be paying attention to all the etiquettes. Yes, that student read that very, very nicely. When you got to the end there, even though there's a fatha, because you pulled, you treated that ra as a sakin. And as you can remember, sakin letters join to the previous letters. So this tha with the fatha joined onto the ra sakin to make tha. Excellent, well done. Okay, so you have another go, but have a go at reading this one here.
Inna shani'aka wal-abtar.
Excellent, well done. That was said with such eagerness. Okay, that was very, very nice. Just remember that this letter here is a ba, and ba is a gulgula letter. And when you do sukoon on it, you do a little bit of a jerk, okay? So when you read that, you should say, huwal ab, huwal ab. Okay, one more go.
Inna shani'aka huwal-abtar. Abtar.
Well done, yes. When you're with your lips, just close them to make the bar sound and just open them very quickly, yeah? Abtar.
Abtar.
Okay, we will practice on that, inshallah. Okay, Jazakumullah, sweetheart. If I may have another
Jazakallah.
student, please. Allah Hafiz.
Yep, the next student is A1163. Well, he's not in the list anymore.
63.
He just disappeared. I'll try a different one. I'll try Nasirat. Give me 1 second. N1238.
Assalamu alaikum. 138.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you, darling?
Good, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm also good. Okay, sweetheart. So we are going to now, with you, have a go at reading on the highlighted portions here, okay? This is a bar. It has a fatha. And when you read, I want you to pause on that bar, okay? Now, you can read, if you want to, from here, okay? Or you can read it from the wa. Where would you like to read from?
From the ma.
Okay, let's go for it then. Dawood first, okay?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب.
Excellent, well done. That was very, very nice reading, okay? Come closer to the mic. One thing that you need to pay attention to is that this bar at the end, I've already highlighted it, so I can't highlight it anymore really. This bar, when you do sukoon on it, it's a qalqala letter. Do a little bit of a bounce, okay? Gasab.
كسب.
Well done. Gasab.
كسب.
Okay. Try not to press too much on the bar, okay? It has to be a tiny, tiny bounce. But it's something that we can work on. Okay, not to worry. Now at the bottom here, okay, where the ha is, read from there to the end and do a waqf on the ba.
حمالة الحطب.
Okay, very nice. Have one more go, but pay attention to the fact that this is a meme mushaddad and you do a gunna on meme mushaddad.
حمالة الحطب.
Well done. That was very, very nice. This is a to. It's a thick and heavy sound, okay? So when you read it, you should say hatab.
حطب.
Okay. حمالة الحطب.
حمالة الحطب.
Okay. Okay, very nice reading, okay? Jazakumullah sweetheart for your help. One more student, please.
جزاك الله.
Allah Hafiz, darling.
The next student is N1238.
And 1238, Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام.
How are you?
I think it says N1235 still.
Assalamu alaikum. And 1238.
Lamia. Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, darling. Who am I speaking to?
A1126.
8126. Okay.
Sorry, there are quite a few students who are not on mute anymore. I'm just trying to work through the list.
Okay. So, okay.
Because students are raising hands and then the list keeps moving. So if the students, if they don't have any questions, can they not raise hand, please?
Okay. All right. Okay. So if you could assist us, we want to try and get everybody a chance to read on the mic. Okay. So who am I speaking to?
Right. N1243.
And 1243.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
This highlighted portion here, okay, this verse here, have a read of that. Don't forget the Tawud, which is the A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem, okay?
Shall I read through here?
Yes, from where I've highlighted it in yellow.
Okay. Allahu Samad.
Excellent, well done. Okay, so this is obviously something that all of you should know. Okay, Surah Ikhlas. Okay, this is a sword. Okay, it's a thick and heavy sound. When you say hussa, hussa. Hello, sweetheart, you still there?
Hussa.
Okay. Round your mouth when you say the so. Hussa.
Hussa.
So. Allahu Samad.
Allahu Samad.
Okay, well done. The dal is a calcula letter, okay? You need to do a little bit of a bounce. And as we did a waqf there, the dhamma on the top has changed. Okay? So one more time. Allahu Samad.
Allahu Samad.
Okay, well done. Okay, Jazakumullah sweetheart for your help there. Okay. Okay, so we've now just Jazakumullah sweetheart. So what we've just done, we've seen how on a letter, when we do waqf on it, we have to change that dhamma into a sukoon. And I chose these surahs because they're quite well known, so everybody knows how they're supposed to be read. So I wanted to show you how it looks in the Quran Majid, but when you do waqf, it changes, okay? And that's because the rules of waqf apply. When you have a dhamma on top of a letter, it changes into a sukoon. If you have a fatha on top of a letter and you do waqf, it changes into a sukoon. If you have a kasra on a letter and you do waqf, it changes into a sukoon. Okay, so let's go back and do a couple more rules. Okay. The next rule we're going to do is tanween of kasra, and that will change into a sukoon when we do waqf on it. So we have rule 4, and at the end here, we have a meme with the kasratayn. If I may have a student on the mic to help me read.
Yep, the next student is N1235.
Assalamu alaikum. And 1235. And 1235. Okay. And 1235 is not answering. Can I have another student? Assalamu alaikum. And 1235. Okay, students, can I just ask you, please don't raise your hands. You're playing havoc with the list. We want to try and give the mic to students, and the list is moving around, and in-charge discipline is unable to mute and unmute students. And we're teaching, and we've gone to a lot of effort to prepare the presentation and to give our time. And when you put your hands up, it doesn't make any difference. We have a list of the students we want to give the mic to. So there's no point in you putting the hands up unless it's something really urgent that you need to bring to our attention. Please help us. Don't raise your hand.
Okay, shall I choose a different student?
Yes, please.
Okay, the next student is A1157.
A1157, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, darling. Okay, sweetheart. So rule 4 is a tanween of kasra, which you should do when it's paused upon. Here is a word, okay? It ends with a kasra tain. Can you read this for me, please, as it's written?
Makhtumin.
Excellent, mashallah. Very nice. The timing is very nice as well. If we were going to do waqf on it, okay, this is how we need to imagine the letter to look. The kasra tain disappears and the sukoon comes on. Now, in your grammar, that actually won't happen because it's printed, but you have to just imagine that that is how you're going to be reading it. So have a go at reading this word.
Makhtumin.
Well done. That was very nice. Yes, you pronounced the whole very, very nice. Now stay with me. Tanween of dhamma will change into sukoon when you pause on it. Here we have tanween of dhamma, a dhammatain. Please read this as it's written.
Qur'anun.
Well done. That's very nice. And if you're going to do work, okay, the kasratain would disappear and it's by a sukoon. So the noon will become a noon sakin, and that's how you have to imagine it, and that's how you have to read it. How would you read this?
Qur'an.
Okay, well done. Okay, this is a off, okay? Off. So make sure you pronounce it as such, okay? Qur'an.
Qur'an.
Very, very nice. Okay, so you have to stay on the mic with me, okay? Let's go back and practice this from the grammar G, okay? So let's move down. Rules 4 and 5, tanween of kasra and tanween of dhamma change to sukoon. Okay, so that word that you've just read, okay, here it is, it's from the grammar G, and here it is in practice, okay? What I want you to do is to read from here, okay, all the way through to here, and read it as if you're going to pause at the end, okay? And apply it correctly.
Yus. Na. Min.
Okay, there's a ra mushaddad coming in the next line, okay? So you have to do a bit of joining. This was a lesson that you learned earlier this week, so you may not have fully grasped it yet. This meme with the kasra, followed by a noon sakin and a ra mushaddad, is part of your idgham lesson, okay? And it means that the meme and the ra join, the noon disappears. So you have to read this as mirra.
Mirra.
Well done. So again, yus'awna mirra.
Yus'awna mirra.
And carry on.
Hit. Fi. Fin.
Okay. What is this letter here?
He.
Okay, this is a ha, okay, with the kasra becomes a he. What is the two dotted letter here?
Ya.
Well done, yes. So read this combination, the ha and the ya with the kasra.
He.
Well done. Okay, so carry on.
Fin.
Okay, carry on.
Ma. Mak.
Okay,
Tu.
carry on.
Tun.
Well done, mashallah, well done, well done. That was very, very good. You actually, the rule that we're learning today, you remembered that, okay? Now, let me give you some confidence. You know, all you need to know to read from this ya to this meme. You've been taught it. At the moment, you haven't had enough practice, but with practice, inshallah, you'll get there. Let me show you, okay? This ya with the sin next to it, these two join. Yus. Qaf with the waw. Okay, madali, yes. Qaw, yus, qaw. Na, mim, followed by noon sakin, followed immediately by a ra mushaddad. Okay, it's the noon sakin and the ra mushaddad. When those happen, the noon disappears. You were taught that early this week. I think it was on Monday, so you may not have fully grasped it yet. This is read as mirra, mirra. This is a qaf, okay? It has two dots at the top, qaf. The kasratain will normally be thin, but straight afterwards is a mim mushaddad. So what happens is the mim mushaddad has to join on to the qaf, okay? And this is what happens. Yusqawna min rahiqim makhtum. Now, did you follow me as I talked you through?
Yes.
Okay, all right, well done. Okay, so have one more go and use your eyes and follow along. Okay, have another go.
Can you explain that bit with the qaf one more time, please?
Okay, this is a qaf, okay, here. This is a qaf, okay, and it has a kasratain. Normally, when you see that, you would say qin, but there's a mim mushaddad coming straight afterwards. And what happens is the mim mushaddad joins straight onto the qaf, okay, and it becomes qim.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember in which lesson you were taught that. I think it may have been in the exam where the kasratain becomes a single kasra, okay? But what happens is you say qim, okay, qim, and you do the mim, okay? There's no noon sound, qim, and then the mim and the ha join because there's a ha sakin straight afterwards. So when you're reading, you always have to keep an eye on what's coming, because what's coming tends to affect what you're about to read. Okay? So, qim, makhtum. Have a go at just at those bits.
He, kim, tu.
There's a meme at the end, so you have to pronounce that as well.
Tun.
Well done. Okay, so now follow with me, okay, and I will read it a little bit more fluently, and let's have a practice here. Yusqawna min rahiqin makhtum.
Yusqawna min rahiqin
Do the
kim makhtum.
Well done, well done. That's very, very nice. Okay, just be carefully. Maybe the way I'm hearing you, this is a qim, qaf, and a meme joint. There's no noon sound. Okay, qim. Well done. Okay, okay, sweetheart. Jazakumullah for now. If I may have another student on the mic.
Yeah, next student is A1163.
A1163. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum.
Assalam. Okay, sweetheart. Okay, so we're going to have a practice. here.
Sorry, A1163 still on mute, I guess.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yeah.
I have got A1163 on the mic. Okay, so see how we're going to have a read of from here to here. We've got a kasratain at the end on a bar. We're going to apply the rule that we're just learning about, which is that when you stop on a letter that has a kasratain, it becomes a sukoon. Okay, so when you come to the end, even though you can see a kasratain, treat it as a bar sakin. Okay, have a go at reading all the way through.
Sayat lan na ran swata lahabin.
Okay, well done. Okay, so let's have a look and see what's going on here. Okay, sa, seen with the fatha, sa. Ya, followed by a sad sakin. Okay, these two are going to join. Sayas.
Sayas.
Well done. Sad is a thick and heavy sound. Okay, sayas.
Sayas.
Lam with a vertical fatha. Okay, for now, ignore this ya. Okay, there's a lam here with a vertical fatha on the top. La.
La.
Well done. Sayasla.
Yes. La.
Sa. Sayasla.
Yes. La.
Noon here with a fatha, straight afterwards is an alif without a school. This is an alif madda. It's an alif madda because it has no school and straight before it is a fatha. Okay, so this becomes na for 2 seconds.
Na.
Well done. So yaslana.
Yes. Na.
Okay, there's a scene at the beginning, sweetheart. Can you see it? This letter here with the 3 points, that's a scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to say it because I can't hear it. Okay, yaslana.
Sayas. Lana.
Well done. Then we have a ra with the fatha. So this becomes wrong.
Wrong.
Well done. Okay. A dal followed by an alif. There's a fatha there, and this alif has no sukoon. This is alif madda. So this becomes there for 2 seconds.
Za.
There.
Za.
And now let's go back to the beginning and put those together, okay? So yasla narun there.
Say. Yus. Lana. Ra. Za. Za. Za.
Okay, not to worry. Okay, this is a ta with a fatha. Ta.
Ta.
Okay, here we have a lam with a fatha. La.
La.
Well done. Ha with a fatha normally would be ha. Followed
Ha.
by, well done, a ba with the kasratain. Normally it would be bin, but because we're going to do a waqf here, this bar becomes a bar sakin, which means that this bar and this ha have to join. So what we have to say is hab.
Hab.
Well done. Okay, don't forget the qalqala on the bar. Okay, hab.
Habin.
No, don't say the bin, okay, because we want to do a waqf here. So although you can see the stuff there, you have to imagine that there's a spoon on top, okay? Hub.
Hab.
Well done. So when you read it together, Sayasla narun dhata lahab.
Say. Yus. Lana. Ra. Za. Ta. Lahub. Hab.
Hub.
Hab.
Okay, okay. Jazakumullah sweetheart. Okay. Now, if I can just explain, all of these things that I've just talked about, we've taught them. And it's very normal, even when we've taught and you know all the rules, when it comes to putting them all together, suddenly, you know, there's so much going on. Our eyes are taking in so much information. We're trying to get our tongue coordinated. We're trying to think. We actually know all the rules, but we have to practice, okay? And that's why I took this step by step. And then every time I did something, I went back to the beginning and joined it in, okay? And that's something that you'll find you will have to do to start off with. But if you keep on doing it, before you know it, you'll become quite fluent, and you'll be able to see what's coming and be able to put everything together. Okay. Okay, if I may have another student, please.
I think N1247 has a question to ask. I'm just going to put her on mic.
1247.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, darling. My voice is too much.
Low.
Yes, go on, sweetheart, say. It's
Is
much
the
too
voice too much low?
Okay, let me just move my screen. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, now you stay here. Okay. So Walaikum assalam. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well done. Okay, so now sweetheart, have a read. Okay. Let me just now have a read from here, yeah? Where it says here, okay? Read from there, but do a waqf on the dal, okay? So remember that the dal has a kasratain. We're going to do a waqf. That kasratain is going to disappear and it's going to be replaced by a sukoon. You won't see it, you just have to imagine it, okay? So have a go at reading from here.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Your voice is too much low. In the start, it was good, but now it is very low.
Oh dear, that's such a shame. Okay, well, I've just moved my screen so that the mic is closer. I'm not sure why. Okay, but have a go anyway, because I can hear
But
you.
the other children, when they decide the other children, their voice is good, but your voice is low.
Okay, but your child, if they can have a go at reading from here, where I'm pointing to.
Okay. Hablum mim masad.
Excellent, mashallah. Very, very nice. Yes. From here then, darling, from the beginning.
Fi zidiha hablum mim masad.
Well done. Okay, very nice reading. Okay, just be careful that with the dal, yeah, it's a qalqala letter, has to do a little bit of a bounce. Okay, masad.
Masad.
Okay, well done. Okay, so jazakumullah. Okay, Allah hafiz for now. Okay, so we come towards the end of our class, and what we've done is we've covered. Let me go back. We have covered 5 of the rules. We have covered the rule which tells us that a fatha will change into a sukoon when you do waqf on it. A kasra will change into sukoon when you do waqf on it. A dhamma will change into a sukoon when you do waqf on it. A tanween of kasra will also change into a sukoon when you do waqf on it. And a tanween of dhamma will also change into sukoon when you do waqf on it. And what you need to do is when you're reading, you need to make sure that you imagine the sukoon there, because obviously when you've got a paper copy in front of you, it doesn't change, but you have to imagine it because that's the way you're going to read it. Okay, so the other thing that we've learned is that when we're reading, if I go back here, okay, we've been taught all of the rules that you'll really need. Almost everything that you'll need to read has been taught to you, but you will need to practice, and there's no way around it. You just have to knuckle down and read, and the more you read, the more fluent you'll become. Okay, now let me take you to today's homework, which is that we've covered today the rules of waqf, some of them. Okay, inshallah, we'll carry on for the next couple of days also. And what we want you to do is to practice the rules that were covered today by finding examples in the Quran Majid make sure you do this with someone who knows how to read Quran, okay? Someone who knows, sit down with them and have a go, just at an odd few words, and if you're going to work on them, how you would actually pronounce, okay? And remember, it was lesson 21, and we've covered rules 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we've just covered those rules. So see if you can find some examples. Have a look in part 30 where there are some short surahs that you actually probably already know, and have a practice of those. As I say, inshallah, I'll continue this tomorrow. We'll have some more practice on the grammar Majid as well tomorrow. For now, what I will do is ask for a student to read the end dua with me. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, shall I choose a student now?
Yes, please.
Okay. I will choose a Nasirat this time. N1243.
And 1, 2, 4, 3. Assalamu alaikum.
Can you see her in the list? She was there a minute ago.
No, she's gone now.
Okay.
No, let me choose a 1163.
Okay.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum, a 1163.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, darling. Okay, sweetheart. So we are going to do the end dua, okay? And have a go. Can you read it by yourself, or shall I lead you?
Lead me.
Okay then. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Bismillahir rahmanir rahim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Allahumma
اللهم
humma hamni
همني
bil Qur'an
بالقرآن
Qur'anil azim.
بالقرآن عظيم.
Okay, well done. Waj'alhu li
أهلي
imaman
إمالا
wa
ولو
nuran
روى
hudan
هدى
rahmah.
ورحمة.
Okay, well done. One more time. Allahumma arhamni bil Qur'anil azim.
الله اللهم همني
Bil
بالقرآن أني
Qur'anil azim.
أني العظيم.
Waj'alhu li
أجعله لي
imaman
إماما
wa nuran
ونورا
wa hudan
وهدى
wa rahmah.
ورحمة.
Okay, well done. Okay, sweetheart, download and print off this dua and have a practice of it. People around you will know it. Just get them to read it and you follow, okay? Try and memorize this dua, okay? You should be far more fluent at it by now than actually at the moment you are, okay? But not to worry, practice. If you could read the English translation.
O Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran, and make it for me the leader, the light, and goodness, and the mercy.
Well done, mashallah. Okay, so now we've come to the end of our class. inshallah, we'll carry on this lesson tomorrow. Okay? Make sure you try and have a go at redoing your homework. For now, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.